It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. I can already hear the voice in your head saying, oh no, not another episode about being Agile versus doing Agile. But I really did want to hone in on a thought that's been weighing on me for the past month or so. It's regarding understanding Agile thinking and how that affects the Agile mindset. So, at the last couple of conferences that I had an opportunity to speak at, my topic of choice has always been fixed versus growth mindset. And I've been really hyper focused on teaching people how to break out of the bubble of thinking that you're either not good enough or that you have topics that are resonating with you that you can't convey to other people. How do you become a continual learner? How do you get past those demons that tell you can't do things? In the words of my good friend Phil Barth, how do you fry your chickens and not let the voices in your head tell you that you're not good enough to do things? And I think that when it comes to Agile, we see many of those same trends. Because when you think of Agile, and you think of Agile thinking specifically, the Agile mindset and Agile thinking go hand in hand. And it's an increasingly important concept for both business and personal development. With my background in psychology, rooted deeply in experimenting and understanding how people tick, Agile methodology was originally developed for software development. I'm just going to cut to the chase. These concepts reach out far beyond software development, in my opinion, and it can be applied in various fields. I've had the opportunity personally to work with so many organizations in banking, finance, insurance, especially entertainment and Department of Defense. I've just seen this applied in so many places where it really has accelerated. I wanted to take a moment to just dig deeper and explore what the essence of Agile thinking is, the Agile mindset, and some of the things that underpin why we think the way we do in order for us to better understand the significance in today's world in 2024. How does this impact us? And I want to start by just defining what is Agile thinking. Agile thinking is a way of approaching problems and projects that emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. Sounds easy. All you have to do is be adaptive, responsive to change, and focus on delivering value always. Okay, now it doesn't sound so easy, right? The Agile mindset is a set of attitudes that support the approach, right? If I were to list these out for you, I could probably come up with 3 or 4. So let's see what we can come up with here. So one right away I focused on was delivering value. You want to make sure that you're focusing on creating real value for customers. You want to make sure that you're focused on outcome and not output, that you're not just cranking things out to do it, that you're making your stakeholders happy and that they appreciate the deliverables that you are churning out. If I had to think of another, I would probably say the collaborative effort of the team. In order for Agile to be successful, leadership needs to believe in teamwork and the team needs to believe in the power of teamwork. If you miss either of those two things, then open communication fails. And if open communication fails, then Agile fails. So it's one of these things where it does go hand in hand. It is like glove in hand where it must be together. You must have those two things together. I feel like sometimes collaboration gets mistaken for just working together. Those to me are definitely two different things. Anyone can work together with someone else. Collaboration is when you really implicitly understand others and you have empathy towards what makes them tick and you are building on what you know to help others be successful. Let's continue. I also think that if you're trying to get to that Agile mindset, you need to have an attitude of continual learning. You need to always seek to learn and grow, both from your successes and from your failures. You have to remember that fail is just the first attempt in learning. There are always opportunities to grow and improve, but you need to make sure that you understand what caused the failure And you have to be willing and open minded to course correct, to make changes, to make pivots, to adjust. Because I've seen so many opportunities where we understand what failure is, but we don't embrace the failure and we don't learn from it. And we try to repeat the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. Unfortunately, that never works. That's the definition of insanity. And I feel like probably the most important one I could come up with to round it off at four would be embracing change. There are so many people who fear change, whether it's a change of environment, a change of pace, a change of workload, a change of employer, a change of house, a change of school, a change of, I can go down a list. Change and people often are like oil and water. The people who I find that are most successful are the people who know how to embrace change. They know how to seek out the benefits or the positive things that come from change, the growth that comes from change. Even if the change isn't always perfect, even if the change isn't always the best it can be, there are people who go and find a better part. And those are the people who end up not only just learning to embrace change, but they end up accelerating faster than anyone else because they learn from the failures, embrace the change, and move forward in a collaborative way with all those people who can help them make a difference. Back in 2001, when the Agile Manifesto was written, I don't think the impact that it would have was widely understood. I believe that they knew what they were doing was special, but I don't know if they understood that it would be like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution for Agile. I don't know that they felt that 22 years later, people would still be talking about individuals and interactions over processes and tools, right? It's one of these things where they had something so powerful. And over time, the actual manifesto hasn't changed, but the way that the manifesto has been applied has changed. When you're talking about the supporting principles, customer satisfaction, welcoming change, frequent delivery, collaboration, support and trust, face to face conversation, I can go on. These principles are guiding us to build better products and services across any venue, not just in the technology world. It's not just about software anymore. And I think the key to getting all this pulled together, the glue that holds all the sawdust together and makes us all particle board, has to be our understanding of agile thinking and an open mindset and how we can put those two together. And I've broken it down into a short list. I believe it's 5 or 6. Let's go through. The first part of agile mindset and agile thinking, pulling it together, agile thinking and open mindset, is adaptability in this fast changing world. It is valid fact, Jack, that right now we're focused on artificial intelligence. We're focused on cloud computing. We're focused on incredibly fast speed of delivery. We're focused on getting things done. We're focused on quickly responding to change. And I feel like this has changed the way the world of work operates. And I'm not just talking about work from home versus work in the office, although that is another change. I feel like people are working differently today than they did even 3 years ago or 5 years ago, much less 10 or 20 years ago. The speed of change, the rate of change has been so fast. It's been breakneck speed. And I'm going to argue that that's a good thing. How about enhanced collaboration and communication? We'll call that one number 2. I feel like if we learn how to leverage tools that are out there to help us collaborate better and communicate, then we can have more successful teamwork. And of course, that leads to better problem solving, faster time to market, more innovative solutions, and lower costs. It's all tied together, but you have to tie that agile thinking to the open mindset in order to get there. It also helps us go with a customer centric approach. We'll call that 3. If we can focus on outcome and not output, and we can really prioritize the customer's needs using Moscow or whatever tool you're using, Kano, to make sure that you understand the customer's needs first and foremost, and then focus in on other things like urgency or like size. I think it's important to keep all 3 in consideration, but I also believe that it's important for us to say, okay, we should be focused on the customer first. What would be most meaningful to our stakeholders? And make sure that we're incorporating those things at a regular cadence. The next one I think of is continual improvement. Many people get on me when they don't hear me say continuous improvement. Continuous, I want to remind you, just means never changing, always flowing. A river might be continuous. It continues to flow at that pace, never changes, and it does it from now until the end of time. Continual means that we have a variable speed motor that sometimes we're moving at a faster pace. Other times we need to take a break and slow things down a little bit to get caught up. Sometimes we're moving at breakneck speed. Sometimes we're just cranking through. And I think it's important for us to not stress ourselves or burn ourselves out trying to be continuous, when in actuality, all we really need to be is continual. If we continually seek better ways to improve our process, improve our products, and build better services over time, that's going to help our end customers be happier, and it's going to do it without the burnout. Okay, let's go to number 5. Increase productivity and efficiency. I am a firm believer that if you break things into small enough manageable parts and make them to where they're easily understandable and consumable, the team will have a much easier time performing and hitting those agile milestones and benchmarks. And that's going to lead to increased productivity, increased efficiency, and the team's going to feel better about doing their work. They're going to love where they work as opposed to having frustration. And finally, I want to talk about better management of complexity and uncertainty. When I say complexity, whether that means interruptions, whether it means just unknowns, whether it means additional research necessary. And when I talk about uncertainty, when we talk about let's time box a small amount of time to figure something out, it's okay to have some level of problem solving, especially when you're going through ideation and discovery. And I feel like it's so important for us to recognize those before we jump into delivery. Too many organizations jump straight into delivery, and it forces them to have a backwards mindset, thinking back to why didn't this meet our customers' needs, as opposed to having a forward-facing mindset and being able to say that we're going to do ideation and discovery that's going to lead us to deliver the right product or service. So I think that if we take the time to emphasize flexibility, collaboration, and focus on value, and we understand that in this fast-paced world that things are going to change and that we are going to roll with those changes, it doesn't matter whether you're building software, hardware, roller coasters, or accounting or training accountants on how to do variable things. None of that matters. You could be an actuary, an actor, or an accountant. It doesn't matter which one you are. Agile applies to everyone. And I want to make sure I say this because it's one of the quotes that I'm famous for. Remember, just because Agile is for everyone, it doesn't mean it's a one-size-fits-all model. It's applied differently in each one because we all know some people just don't look good in spandex. That's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a topic you want us to cover, learn more at agiledad.com. We would love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.